It is Sunday, February 8th, 2026. Welcome back to the Agentic AI podcast. If you've been following the enterprise space for the last few years, you know the whole vibe has shifted. We've spent, a solid 3 years in what I kind of like to call prompt purgatory. You know the drill. You open a chat window, you type a request, you tweak it, you beg the bot not to hallucinate, and maybe, just maybe, you get a decent email draft.
Right. It's been the era of the really, really impressive parlor trick. We went from, wow, look, I could write a sonnet about my dog, to, wait, why do I have to copy-paste this JSON file 3 times just to get the formatting right?
Yes, the novelty curve just crashed headfirst into enterprise reality.
It really did.
It's been cool, don't get me wrong, but honestly, it's starting to feel like manual labor. It's the difference between doing the work yourself with a really smart calculator and actually, handing the work off to someone else.
That's the distinction right there.
And that is where we are planting the flag today. We are, I think, officially moving past the era of chatting with bots and into the era of hiring them.
Hiring them. That's the word. We're not looking at a model that just talks better. We're looking at a system that's designed to do things.
And the big news driving this, what we're going to really unpack today, is the launch of OpenAI Frontier. Now, before everyone rushes to their API dashboards, we need to clear the air immediately, because the naming in this industry is, well, it's a mess. And I think a lot of people just saw the press release and thought, oh, great, is this GPT-5? Is this GPT-6?
Like, is it a bigger brain?
Yeah.
And that's the trap. If you take one single thing away from this deep dive, let it be this. Frontier is not a model. It isn't a bigger, better brain. Frontier is a platform. It's a software layer, an orchestration system.
The documentation used this analogy that I just absolutely loved, and I want to start there. They said if the previous releases, the GPT-4s and 5s were about building a better brain, Frontier is the HR system for managing those brains.
It's the perfect metaphor. It really is. Think about a modern company. You don't just hire 1,000 geniuses and throw them in a lobby and say, okay, go be smart.
Right. Yeah, good luck with that.
You need structure. You need managers. You need workflows. You need to know who has access to what. That is what Frontier is doing for the AI workforce. It's the control plane for autonomous agents.
So today we're going to tear this shift apart. We'll look at what this platform actually does, how it creates this semantic layer, which sounds fancy but is kind of the holy grail. And we'll clear up the confusion between Frontier, the new GPT 5.3 codex, and competitors like Claude Cowork.
And we really have to get into the implementation side, too, because for the decision makers listening, the question isn't just, what is it? It's, how do I trust it? So we'll look at the governance piece and how solutions like lowtouch.ai are deploying this in the real world without, leaking all their data.
Let's jump in then. The HR for AI agents. What does that actually look like? Because agents is such a buzzword right now.
It is. But here the definition is actually very specific. Frontier is designed to build, deploy, and scale autonomous agents. They call them AI coworkers. And the key distinction here is agency. A chatbot is reactive. You put something in, you get something out. An agent is goal-oriented.
So you tell it, fix the billing discrepancy for client X, and it figures out the steps.
It figures out the steps. It's not just text in, text out.
Wow.
No, it connects. These agents don't just chat. They do real work. They connect to your company systems, they understand the context, and they perform these multi-step tasks. Imagine an agent that sees an unhappy client in the CRM, then checks the inventory system for a shipping delay, and then drafts an email that references that specific delay.
That's not a chatbot. That's an employee.
And that's why the HR analogy works so well, because one agent doing that is great, but 5,000 of them.
You have a management problem.
You have a huge management problem. You need to organize that digital workforce. You need to know who's doing what, how well they're doing it, and if they're following the rules. That's what Frontier solves.
What's interesting is the flexibility piece. It's not just another walled garden, right? Usually these releases are all about lock-in.
That's been the friction point for years. But Frontier is environment agnostic. The architecture lets these agents run on a customer's private cloud, on local infrastructure, or on OpenAI's runtimes. It even supports third-party agents.
Wait, so I could have a legal agent from one company and a finance agent I built myself, and Frontier would manage both of them.
Exactly. It's trying to be the operating system for the entire digital workforce, no matter where the worker came from. It avoids vendor lock-in, which is a massive anxiety for CIOs.
Okay, so that's the what. It's the manager. But how does it work? For an agent to be useful, it needs to understand the business. The docs keep mentioning this semantic layer or shared business context. Let's unpack that because that feels like the secret sauce.
It is absolutely the secret sauce. This is where it gets really fascinating. The biggest barrier to enterprise AI has always been context. A model like GPT-5 knows everything on the internet, but it knows nothing about your company.
Right. It knows who wrote Hamlet, but it has no idea where we store the Q3 marketing invoices.
Precisely. And we've tried to fix that with Argy, right? Just dumping documents into the prompt. But it's messy. Frontier integrates directly with your tools, your CRM, data warehouses, internal apps, and it builds this semantic layer. It actually maps the relationship.
So it's not just here's a file, it's here's how this file relates to this project and this person.
Yes. It gives the agents situational awareness. They understand how work actually gets done at your company. They know that Project Alpha is linked to Client Beta and that Sarah is the lead.
So if I say draft an update for Project Alpha, it actually knows who to send it to, what tone to use, what data to pull. It doesn't just guess.
It reasons over real data. And this is the critical part. It can execute actions. It can interact with files, run code, launch workflows.
Oh, I get it. It's the difference between a brilliant intern who needs constant supervision
Exactly.
and an experienced employee who just knows where the files are on the server. That's the aha moment right there.
It is. Think about all the time we spend just explaining context to new hires.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we use SharePoint for that, not Dropbox.
All that tribal knowledge, automated. But does it get better over time? Or is it static?
Well, it's designed to improve. There's a feedback loop. Frontier includes tools to evaluate agent performance. So just like a human gets a performance review, the agents learn from experience. They aren't just static scripts. They improve their quality over time.
That is wildly powerful and honestly a little intimidating. But before we go there, let's clear up the landscape. We're drowning in names. Frontier, Codex, Claude.
It is so confusing.
Yeah.
And you can't afford to mix these up if you're making buying decisions.
Okay, start with the internal one. Frontier versus GPT 5.3 Codex.
Okay. GPT 5.3 Codex is the brain. It's the intelligence engine. It's optimized for coding, writing, debugging. It's the raw intellect.
So Codex is the genius sitting in the cubicle.
Yes. And Frontier is the workplace system, is the office, the manager, the HR software. Frontier coordinates the agents that use brains like Codex to do the work. You plug the Codex model into the Frontier platform.
Got it. Codex thinks, Frontier organizes. What about the big competitor? Anthropic has Claude Cowork. That sounds pretty similar.
Similar name, different scope. From what we're seeing, Claude Cowork is positioned as an AI productivity assistant at scale. It's very focused on teamwork, on collaboration. Think of it as a superpowered teammate that sits next to you in a Google Doc.
Whereas Frontier?
Frontier's position is that control plane, that orchestration layer. It's aiming to unify workflows across the entire stack, Salesforce, Workday, everything. It's less about helping us write a document and more about automating data flow between departments.
So Claude is about team productivity. Frontier is about architectural scale.
Exactly. Frontier is trying to run the company's back end, not just help humans write emails faster.
Okay, this brings us to the big elephant in the room. Trust. If we are giving these agents the keys to the kingdom access to Salesforce, the code base, how do we know they won't, drive the car off a cliff?
Trust and safety. It's the make or break issue for enterprise adoption. You can't have a hallucination when you're dealing with financial records.
Absolutely not. So what's the plan?
Well, it starts with identity. In Frontier, every single agent has a secure identity. It's not just some nameless bot. It has credentials.
Like a badge.
Exactly like a badge. And that badge has granular permissions. This is critical for regulated industries. You can make sure your marketing agent has zero access to HR data.
Which seems basic, but with LLMs, that's actually been really hard to enforce.
It is, which is why this platform approach is so necessary. You can't just rely on the model to promise not to look. You need a hard governance layer that blocks it. The security specs point to things like ISO 27001 and SOC certifications, especially through the partner ecosystem.
Let's talk about those partners. You mentioned lowtouch.ai. How are companies actually deploying this stuff?
Right, because not everyone can just build this from scratch. If Frontier is the engine, lowtouch.ai is like the car manufacturer. They offer something they call a private AI appliance.
It sounds very secure.
That's the idea. It's the ability to deploy these agents on-site or in your own private cloud, your VPC. For a bank or a hospital, you can't send your data to a public API. It's a non-starter. This lets you run Frontier-style agents inside your own firewall.
So it solves the data sovereignty problem.
Completely. And they're also pushing no code. This is about democratizing it. You can have a business analyst, someone who knows the business process, but doesn't code build a custom agent.
That's huge. The person who feels the pain can build the fix.
Precisely. We're seeing this trend where companies are building an internal AI center of excellence. They're using agent-assisted training to level up their own staff to work alongside these digital coworkers.
It really is a total shift. We are moving from using AI tools to managing AI fleets.
That's the synthesis. It's integration over isolation. We had all these fragmented tools, frontiers trying to bring it all under one roof with governance.
And that continuous improvement piece, the idea that the system gets smarter the more you use it.
That's the promise. But, it does raise a very big question.
I think I know where you're going with this.
If Frontier is the HR system for these digital employees, and the agents can learn and improve and optimize their own workflows,
Here it comes.
at what point does a company's org chart become, say, 50% human and 50% autonomous agents? And, maybe more importantly, in a remote-first world.
How does a manager even tell the difference in a Slack channel?
That is the question that's going to keep me up tonight. If the output is the same and the responsiveness is better, do you even care if it's silicon or carbon?
We might care when we realize the agents are managing us based on their efficiency algorithms.
Wow. Okay. On that mildly terrifying but fascinating thought, we're going to wrap this up.
Always a pleasure to stare into the abyss with you. For everyone listening, especially if you're running a business, you probably want to look into that private AI infrastructure we mentioned. If you're going to build a digital workforce, you want to make sure you own the data they're learning from.
Control is going to be the currency of the next decade.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to the Agentic AI podcast. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Take care.